Jim, congratulations. That must be one of the most satisfying results of the season for you.
Yeah, again, it was important. We had a big performance and a big effort and a big result, and I'm delighted for the lads because it's been a tough week for them, and I think they dug deep and worked extremely hard for this result.
What makes it doubly impressive, I suppose, is that when you think of the players that were missing today, the likes of Gary Stockport and Rhys Turner, of course, but great to see Matty Warburton back and what an impact he had.
Yeah, we'd planned for 45, and you know, he was keen to start the second half, but you could see that he was feeling something. It was that one that he kind of overstretched a little bit. And because they changed shape, I just thought, it wasn't a question of give it 5 minutes, because I don't do that. And I felt that we should change and just put Scott in and perhaps play that 5 diamond one. And it stopped him to a certain extent, but obviously we were conceding a lot of possession if we didn't get a hold of it.
Tactically, it was an interesting game because you switched to a back 5, then they switched to a back 5 at half time. Then you made some tactical substitutions through the second half that really closed the game down and denied them the opportunity to get anything out of it.
I think the first half hour was always going to be important, and I think they struggled to kind of break us down, and we always had the threat of Jason, Darren and Matty, and they couldn't get to grips with that, because if we could get them free at their 2 centre halves and the holding midfielder, and we got 2 goals from it. And Jason had a chance as well that he snatched that. But once you get the upper hand then, and the onus is on them, and I thought I was really disappointed with them, because I just thought they were just route one. It was like just bounce it off parking, and it caused us a few problems. So I can understand why they use it, but they didn't ask an awful lot of questions of us in terms of getting up the pitch. But the only thing was just being manly and strong in around the edge of the box, and unfortunately the lads were that. And when Ben was called upon, he had a couple of good saves, but like I said, we knew what they were all about, and we had to prepare for that. And I think the work that we did, the hour and a half, hour and 3/4 that we did on Thursday paid off.
Ben Hinchliffe, you mentioned a couple of terrific saves, particularly in the second half, and he earned the Man of the Match award. But I thought outfield players, Harry Winter, I thought was immense today, and Jamie Stott showed great character after the 2 difficult games for him. He's really bounced back today against John Parkin.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of baptism of fire for him.
Yeah.
You've got to remember that back 3 with Smalley and Stotty and Dan. They acquitted themselves really well, because as the game wore on, I didn't think first half they had a lot to do. A lot of the balls were being won by Harry Winter. A lot of things were stopping in midfield. We didn't have an awful lot to do, although there were some great little headers. I think that the triple zone mentality that we had on that was really good, and made sure that we always had somebody challenge the ball. If you watch the highlights of York, the fluidity of their front 3 and the midfield 3 was always causing teams problems, and centre halves being dragged into poor areas and gaps in defence. And I think that we certainly didn't have that today. It was all about just, like I said, those guys just being manly at the back. Second half there was a lot more to be asked of the back 5, but I have to say a big mention to Darren Stevenson as well, because fantastic finish. And then second half, when Jason was struggling a little bit to get a hold of the ball and was getting battered into a battle with their front, Darren did really well on his own, being a platform to get a hold of the ball, and obviously then springing and looking to go for it. And he'd be exhausted tonight, but again, he could have easily got man of the match, and had a match-winning performance from him today as well.
Did you feel additional pressure on today's game, given York's form? I think 16 points out of a possible 18 coming into the game, and the fact that County had lost 2 on the spin. Was there an additional pressure on this game?
Well, I'm not. I think when you lose 2 games, especially if you lose them, and those people that were at Southport and those that were at Harrogate, the fans that the tremendous support we get away from home, we never got booed off. I think people are just sort of like a bit bemused by how we lost those games, and so we talked about just making sure there's no little gaps in the defence. This is no disrespect for the front lads. It does come back a lot, so we wanted to make sure we had a solid shape. So the system we used today worked, I think, really well. But my role in the system and that is not what won the game. We wanted Darren to be closer to Jason. We wanted Matty to be closer to Jason, to help Jason in terms of getting at the back 4. No, there's always pressure when you lose 2 games, especially when you go into such a big game at home. But I think everybody showed the quality. And I have to say this week, I've had loads of chats with Gary Burton, the chairman, and we talked about how we want to professionalise things. And the support I'm getting from them is fantastic. There's money to spend if we need it for injuries. And just the backing they give me gives me real confidence. Because sometimes Danny Bigari used to say, who motivates the motivator? And their support has been tremendous this week. I wasn't hard on the lads after the last 2 games. I just said that there's some little issues we need to iron out. We maybe need to do something to just get ourselves a foothold in games and make sure we've got a platform to win games. And I played my part, but they certainly played their part on the grass.
And talking about being professional today, looking ahead, you've got Maidenhead away, and it's an overnight stay, a Friday night. It's quite a rare thing to happen at this level of football, but it's a long trip, and you're preparing properly.
Well, we don't know at the moment. We're obviously still. It's a new phenomenon for the club. I think it's been. They've had one overnighter in 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, we want to do things professionally, and I think that the funds that the FA Trophies provided have not been spent and they're available. We do have to be considerate of the players who've got day jobs. So
it's just an option at this time.
Yeah, no. I just think that we're obviously in consultation with other clubs that have travelled down there to see what the holds are. We could travel down on the day. I think the far more professional thing would be to travel and give the players a full rest, and it's also a reward for them in terms of the bit of social side of it. But no, we're not too worried about it. We've got a great opportunity now with training Monday, Tuesday and Thursday to prepare for that game. Nice little break. It's nice to get those 3 points and say we're only 3 points off of Blythe in the playoffs. So, and we've got. I know the last 2 games have taken away a bit of momentum, but a result like York gives us momentum. We know we've got Brackley to come here, but we've got 6 other teams that are below us, and we've got a lot of winnable games ahead. But we can go and enjoy next week, try and challenge ourselves against the team that's at the next level. And I think if we put we train well and get ourselves well organised and go and put the sort of effort we put in today, then we've got every chance of getting a result.
Fantastic. Well done today.
Thanks so much.